Good day, YouTube. It is the 18th of February, 2021, and coming to completion is my 66 F100, my new shop truck. It really is starting to run pretty good. It's looking good. There's a few things that's left to go on it. Been kind of taking it out for test drives. We did an upgrade on the electronic ignition. That video is posting as we speak. And, we got the thing looking good. That's as good as it's going to look, other than I've got that aluminum grill back there. And we're going to put a chrome bumper on the front of it. And other than that, little upgrades as we roll along. Kind of a rolling restoration. But we're never going to, cherry it and paint it or nothing like that. To power the 66, if you've watched the videos, it's got a 302 in it. I believe it's a 1974 vintage 302. And during the process of going through this engine and sorting out what its ailments were, I ended up buying another engine. So this, my friends, is a 73 Bronco 302. The story is, the guy I got it from, and how I came to end up with this engine, is I bought the intake manifold off of this engine from an ad on Marketplace. And then, as I was having valve train issues with the engine in my truck, I thought, why don't I just buy that other motor? At least I have something to measure and so forth. So I went back to him, and he made me a good deal on the rest of the engine. So it's a complete oil pan to, I guess, valve covers and intake manifold. But then I put the intake on the truck, so it doesn't have an intake at this time. And it was a generic aluminum 4-barrel intake manifold. So the story this guy got when he bought this engine, he never used it, was that it was a fresh rebuild, 1,500 miles on it. And the oil pump failed, and it's got scoring in, I think, number 1 cylinder. So that's how I bought the thing. I only paid $150 for it, and if you've shopped around for these a little bit, that's a pretty good deal. When I picked it up, I actually took my calipers. I didn't take a micrometer, but I took my calipers and checked the bore, and it's a 4-inch bore. So from everything I've seen so far, I don't believe this engine has ever been bored. I just pulled it over here where I can start looking at it last night. The guy actually lived in Newport, Oregon, which is right on the coast, which you could actually see the ocean from his house, and this thing sat around with the heads off of it, wide open to the world, and there was a bit of surface rust growing in the cylinders. So I shot some PB blaster at it yesterday before I left the shop. I know the lighting's not that great for the moment, but trust me when I say there was some surface rust going on in there. Nothing crazy, but it appears, at least for the moment, that I have an original engine that somebody probably just did rings and bearings in. Well, if I glance at this cylinder, if I get out of the light, you can see the top ring, and that's not a good thing, right? So I'm pretty sure what we need to do, and it's got lower compression pistons in it. You can see the soup bowls in the middle. I think what we're going to do is just pull this motor down today, see what I have, see what the cylinder wall damage is, make sure I don't have any crankshaft damage, and then understand that what kind of a rebuild I am looking at. I don't know that I'll spend the money or the time to rebuild this now, but what I would do is put the thing back together and preserve it, and make some notes on it, so I know, if it's a year or 3 down the road, when I decide to do something with it, or if I decide to sell it on, that it's preserved. So I think what we'll do today is we'll pull the pistons out and hone the cylinders to get that surface rust off, and coat the cylinders, see what we've got going on with the bad cylinder, make sure we don't have crankshaft bearing issues, and do a reassembly on the engine after everything's kind of lubed up. Put it back together, and then figure out how we're going to store it. We'll keep it inside here and keep it in good shape and kind of go from there. So we'll have a look at the heads. They should be okay. But, you never know. A guy said he rebuilt it. It's been repainted. It's got new freeze plugs in it. Does it have new cam bearings in it? Let's just get it apart, see what we got, and we'll go from there. So let me get things cleaned up and place to put some engine parts, and let's get to taking it apart. I don't know that I need to bother to pull the cam out of it. We'll take a peek in there and so forth, but I don't have any reason to doubt what the guy was saying, but then again, he could have been lied to also. You never know. All right, let's get started. So looking down into this engine, I've just been fiddling with it for a few minutes. This is number 5 cylinder here, and look how sloppy that piston is. Right now this engine does not turn all the way over, just a few degrees. But that piston is sloppy in the bore. And something has this thing stopped. So, just thought I'd show you that. I was told I had oil pump issues and all these bolts are loose, so somebody's had the pump apart. I don't know how they determined that, but anyway. Yeah, I guess I'll pull rod caps and start having a look a little bit. Still looking around on this engine before I start taking it apart. And this is interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen this before. Number 5 cylinder, which you questioned from the underside. But look at this as I turn the engine over a little bit. As these are going up and down, this one's just tilting. There is a significant amount of play. I took a wire wheel, went around these 4 cylinders, and then sprayed out with some brake clean and wiped them out to get some of that away so I can drive these pistons out. I just started playing with it, and it will not like rotate, but I pulled harder on my wrench and I did get it to spin a little, but not knowing what's wrong with it, I just didn't want to spin it anymore. But I just thought that was interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that before. It's just spinning, and I don't know if we obviously have a very worn cylinder or piston or both, but do we have a wrist pin that's froze up? I don't know. Just trying to diagnose before we pull this thing apart. But isn't that interesting? I hope you can see that. I've got best light in there I could think of. But all the rest of them turn. So let's rotate the engine a little bit. I'll just show you how I clean these cylinders up. Keep my wrench up. I got a unique homemade engine stand I picked up at a yard sale where it utilizes a brake adjuster for like a semi-truck or semi-trailer to rotate the stand. Let me put my light on this side. Something like that. We'll clean these out with a wire brush. Again, this thing sat over at the coast and it was exposed. Thing was burning a lot of oil. I don't know if I believe the story that the oil pump quit. I believe it was burning a lot of oil that got run out of oil. That's what I believe so far. But you never know. Wipe them out 2 at a time here. It's been a very long time for me actually that I've had an engine machined. But we used to race cars, and I rebuilt my first engine in my street car when I was 15 in high school. And we used to figure $8 a hole to bore them. I honestly don't know what it costs today to have one bored, and the number of machine shops around have gone from like 4 to 1. So there's only one game in town I live in for getting machine work done. He's very good, been using him forever, but he's probably very, very busy as well. I just don't even know if there's many machine shops left. I used a race engine builder for my 56 F100 over here and my 64.5 Mustang, but he has passed. He was pretty old then, and yep, he's not around anymore. So let's see if there's any surprises on this side of the world. No. Still see some cross hatching. Tiny little bit of scoring here. I don't think it hurt anything. But I got something still, and I suspect that number 5 piston is keeping this thing from rotating. So I think we'll roll this engine over and let's take the rod cap off number 5. And get that piston out of there. And go from there. Hang that wrench right there where it'll fall. So, this guy. I hope we don't have a spun bearing. It doesn't really feel like it because it spins too easily in the amount of rotation that we're getting out of it. So I'm thinking what we have is a bad piston in this number 5 hole, and the rest of them probably savable. Not that we would save them, but yeah. Yeah. Bearing's not great, but it's not spun. Set that aside. Ooh. Look at that piston. It's nasty. Wrist pin. Not moving. Guess I called that one. Yeah, it's froze. Wrist pin is froze. Wow, look at all the wear on that bearing on this particular piston. It obviously had an issue. Initially, the crankshaft looks okay, which there's the money. But definitely got a wrist pin froze up. Should probably turn over now. Let's try it. Not real happy yet. Yeah, she'll go. Work through the cylinder rust. Okay. Well, now we got to see how bad that cylinder is. I think the rest of these, would hone fine, but the issue is going to be this one hole, and what do we do with it? Obviously, you don't bore one cylinder, but move my junk. Grab a towel. A lot of scoring. Get you in there. Nothing's really deep though. Well, it'd be interesting to measure the cylinder. I'm not even sure if I have a 4-inch bore gauge or not, but let me look, see what I got. And we could try to hone that cylinder and just see what it would clean up like. Putting you on hold. Alright, so I have one. So a 302 is a 4-inch bore. So that measurement is 8 thousandths over. So it's hang on. It's not. $25. It's like 33 thousandths over. $33,000ths over. Interesting. Let's take another measurement. Okay, that's 20 thousandths over. All right, well, that kind of tells us a little bit about that cylinder. Let's check a cylinder that's not been super screwed up. About 28 thousandths over. So you can go up to 60 thousandths. It's not really recommended, but a lot of people do it. So I don't know if 40 thousandths to clean this or not. Don't know. But is what it is. I think it's still savable. Yeah, again, at 40 thousandths will clean it. So, yeah. So, let me continue to fiddle with this thing. So I took that piston and tried to free up the wrist pin. You know, I didn't think it would free up, and it didn't. You know, I shot some PV blaster in it and all that jazz. I think the thing to do is to oil up these cylinders, which I did these 4. Just oiled and brushed it around and, you know, made them oily. And reassemble the engine without that piston and rod in it to get this engine closed up and keep it safe for storage. So, no gaskets or anything. Just put it back together. Like this. There. So, and we'll try to get some of the dirt out of it. Blow it off or something. And you never know what we'll do with it. We'll hang on to it for a spare and put it together one day, or somebody needs a rebuildable core and we'll sell it, or something will happen. But I really don't want it all in pieces and stuff gets lost and things get rusty. So let's clean it up, reassemble it, put the lifters back in, push rods back in. Hope they're in here. Yeah, they're here. Oil pan back on it. I've got an intake manifold. I even got a water pump. Well, even a distributor. We'll put this thing back together as far as it'll go. Make it as complete as it can be, and then we'll store it. All right, we got that head tightened down. We got the next one on. I've oiled up all the bolts so that they go in nice and they come out nice. A few of them are still a little sticky, like that one. No gaskets, we're not torquing anything, we're just putting it together, keep it safe. kind of documenting what we have. So if we need this motor down the road, we know where we're starting from. And who knows, I may get bored and build this motor anyway. Okay, so I've been soaking the lifters in oil just for whatever reason. Thought it was a good idea. Gasket pieces. All right. These weren't numbered or anything, so they got to go back in whatever hole I put them in. If you ever do take lifters out, you're planning to reuse, put them in, back in on the same cam. They want to go back on the same load they were on. A really good idea. I put the push rods in the parts washer for half an hour or so. We'll have to loosen the rocker arms. Last one. Hey, they were all here. All right. Not sure why I'm being so fussy putting it back together like this, but cleaning the bolts and I don't know, it's just habit, I guess. Should go through and just loosen all the rocker arms up. I think we'll do that. Let's see. $9.16. Remember these? Well, I mean, I just found out working on this 74 302 in my 66 F100. I'm used to like the early 289s and so forth, which these were all adjustable rocker arms, whether they were hydraulic or solid lifters. That is not the case on the 73, 74 vintage, and I'm not sure what other years, but these all torque. So they bottom out and torque. Turns. Takes them all the way up. Alright, let me finish dropping these in. Alright, got all the push rods in. Got one bank of them tight. Again, we're not torquing, we're just tightening. Nothing gets lost. Keep it from getting rusty and dirty. There we go. All right. So I've got this 2-barrel intake manifold that came off the engine in the 66. I think we'll throw it on and cover up the top of this motor a little bit. Wonder if I have a set of spark plugs that'll fit in this thing. I'll have to look. I'll bring you back. Intake's sitting on there. We'll just snug her down. Okay. Again, plugging holes. Throw a distributor in it. got one sitting around. You just as well throw it in the hole. Get this thing sealed up. We're not going to try to align timing marks or nothing. It's just plug in a hole. I don't think I even have the clamp for it. There we go. That's in. What now? Valve covers. Let me clean them up just a little bit so it looks a little better. Alright, got the valve covers on. Got a bolt started. We'll get them tightened up. Then it'll be oil pan time. Just a snuggin'. All right. Let's roll this thing over. Good enough. I'm going to do a close-up on the crankshaft journal here, just to show the world what it is. That's what that is. Because that journal was hitting pretty hard. The bearing shows the wear. Okay, just want to document this in this video so I can remember what it was, and if I sell it, you know, that's what that journal looks like. So certainly have to have a machine shop have a look at it. They suspected oil pump because it's not even bolted all the way down. I'm going to leave that bolt out like that as a reminder. So okay. I think we better drop this in the solvent tank for a few, because it's definitely got a little dirt in it. Not that it really matters, but just can't put it on with the dirt in it. Alright, pan is on. Got the bolts all started. Get them run down. Still not sure what we're going to do with it. I suspect I ought to drive the 66 truck for a while before I make any decisions about keep it or sell it on. But no matter what, the video is a good documentation of the condition of the engine, which you probably just never get. You know, if I sold it, I want to be very honest about what I know about it, no matter what I've heard about it. I believe it was run out of oil. That's what my belief is.
But again, I wouldn't rerun that oil pump. But if you buy a complete engine kit, you're going to get an oil pump anyway. It's a, I believe it's a 73 block, so it would be very, very compatible with my 74 block in my truck. So that's good enough reason to keep it. Looks like it's got a decent balancer on it. Like I know what a decent balancer is, but it looks good. As long as I got room to store it, I guess I don't mind it sitting around. Let me find a 1/2-inch socket. Or, you know, if I got a friend that needs one or whatever, then, you know, for that I'd probably give it up. I don't have any spark plugs, the small spark plugs. I got kind of the old school FE motor, Autolite 65s and 45s and such. I probably wouldn't mind putting a new set of plugs in the truck. I know they are new, but by the previous owner, because I found the receipt, but then I could put the old set in here. Maybe that's what we'll do. Anyway, I think we're together. I'm going to take the old piston, reassemble it, put it in a Ziploc bag, keep it with the engine. But now the engine will turn over. It's got oil in the cylinders. So she should be good to store. Alright, gang. Well, I appreciate you watching videos. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do that. Hit that bell notification so you know when I put up another video. They're kind of hit and miss, but 1 or 2, 3 of them a week or so. And hit the thumbs up on the way out the door. I would appreciate that. We'll catch you on the next video.